back up, 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 back up. I'ma need you to back up. Yep. I'ma need you to back up. Spilling the tea, you stirring the cup. I'ma need you to back up. I'ma need you to back up. Yep. I'm in the seven, I'm gonna act up. I'ma need you to back up. I'ma need you to back up. Yep. I'ma need you to back up. Spilling the tea, you stirring the cup.
All right, so I was able to lock in a meeting with McLaughlin, a co-founder of Brinc. I'm pretty stoked to be checking out this headquarters. I've been out here many times and I haven't had the opportunity to link up. Thank you, Andrew, for setting this up. I really appreciate it. I look forward to meeting you guys and yeah, just learning, seeing what you guys are doing out there in the IoT industry. So we'll see you guys here in a little bit. All right, we made it to the stop, bus number 23, right on time. All right, we made it to our stop. Let's head on over to the Brinc headquarters. Alright, so I just made it to Garden Meow. Cool little spot outside of the Brinc headquarters right up front. I like to get to meetings early, especially if I'm coming from a place where I don't know where to go. So I like to get here on time, of course, and make sure that I am aware of what floor, what location I need to go at, so that way I'm not running late. What am I gonna get? Let's go ahead and do this one, the Taiwanese ginger and wine sauce. All right, lunch is served. Gonna have to chow this down pretty quickly, got about 10 minutes. All right, it's go time. Let's go check out Brinc. Staunton building. 7th floor, here we come. All right, we made it. So look at this, guys. This is how the creative process begins, you know. You have views like this, you're in an amazing city here. So I'm sure there's lots of ideas that go on that are written on this board. Babe, my man, thank you for having me today. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day and showing me the facility. So it means so much. I'm a big tech nerd, IoT, and you know, anything smart that helps simplify life is something that I'm passionate about. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate being here. One question I did have to ask was, what was the biggest factor that caused you to embrace technology and made you want to pursue a career in, you know, the IoT technology industry?
Man, I don't even remember like the first tech I had. I remember the first computer I had. You know, I remember my dad got me this compact computer, which I later hated so badly that I took a baseball bat to it. But it was, I remember as a kid, I didn't have much toys in that sense. Like I wasn't given video games and all that kind of stuff. So I think it was probably just the fact that I was, you know, I had my first computer in, I guess it was late elementary or middle school, and I wasn't a coder or a programmer whatsoever, just a consumer. But I was able to get exposure early enough, and then really appreciate, you know, what it could do for me. And then it was not till later, about senior year, where I got my first Mac.
Okay.
And that's where the lights really turned on for me, recognizing, okay, it's not just a tool for work or whatever, it's something I can actually create with.
Yes.
I think that was the spark, is I started making movies with my friends, I started making music, and that's really when I think the ball started rolling down the hill for me, and I realized, okay, like, I'm gonna probably be doing this for a long time. It wasn't what I studied, but then luckily enough I got a job with Apple in college, and you know, went to Cupertino and got a sense of what's up in SF, and I realized, okay, if I can get into this world, like I can do tech for a career, like this is absolutely what I want to be doing.
One other question I did have, what sparks your creative thought process? Do you have any special activities that you do when your mind is like on block and you can't think of anything, any activities?
Yeah, I mean, certainly going to the gym is a big one for me, or doing something active.
Okay.
Surfing is my #1 sport, so
Okay.
it's certainly a way to, you know, clear the mind completely. If if I'm really kind of just stuck, this morning, same thing, like I just go to the gym and just try to like burn off some steam, and then usually I kind of find myself within halfway of the workout, I start getting up in Evernote and start doing something.
Exactly.
In terms of the creativity, I think one thing that a lot of people kind of misconstrue, in my opinion, is that these worlds, like the business world and creativity, are something separate. Like I used to be a musician. I was a classical pianist. I have albums in iTunes and Spotify. I used to produce music, DJ in San Francisco. So I did all that, but to me, business is just as creative.
Yes,
and
it
so
is.
I tend to find over the last 10, 12 years, I've been more oriented towards business creativity versus just a pure creativity, like an arts creativity.
Okay.
But I think the hard part is creating it. For me, like sleep is a critical part, so making sure that you actually get enough time to allow the subconscious to kick in, because a lot of the best ideas come when you're not thinking consciously.
Exactly.
It's actually letting what you have been going through and trying to process, like actually install itself overnight.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people kind of like pride themselves in not sleeping and all this bullshit, which is not true. Like, it's critical. So with a newborn child, it's a little harder, but figuring it out. And I think that for me, it's kind of all those components right now is like getting enough sleep, making sure I get some open space at the gym, and then some kind of like nature time, surfing, etc. And just having that balance in my life.
All right, Bay, another question for you. If you could go back to your early 20s, what advice would you give yourself, knowing what you know now?
Super simple, is just don't give yourself all this like BS pressure, and recognize that you have time. I think I don't take back, the fact that I had a business at 24 and had an idea and didn't do well at it. I had a bunch of big ideas, and I realized, okay, I have to try because I'm in San Francisco. That's what you're supposed to do. And then looking back, it was just a pressure from kind of the industry, everyone else, the environment, that you've got to start a company, you've got to be an entrepreneur. And it's really helpful. I tell people statistics because it helps them feel better. Like MIT released an awesome report last year, which lets people know statistically, at least in the US, that the average age of entrepreneurs is like 47. And that's really helpful when people are in their 20s and 30s recognizing, okay, I have time, and also that an entrepreneur in their 50s is twice as likely to create a high-scale business versus someone in their 20s and 30s, so that someone who's older than you actually has a much higher probability of building that big business, and that there's something like a 2x factor and probability for teams that start companies in industries they already have experience in, which in your 20s you don't have any experience. So it's just more of a, I'm glad I did it. Obviously you can't take back and regret anything, but I think I meet a lot of people in college or their early part of their career which are chasing the idea of being an entrepreneur versus maybe understanding like a bit of a nuance in this conversation, which I really advise people to say, start with a small business and work in a startup, but it doesn't have to be yours, and then most likely it shouldn't be statistically. So go be employee number 4 or number 1 like I was in one of my companies in San Francisco, because you get so much responsibility and you have to wear so many hats, and you're in that kind of crucible of the early days of the business. So you get just as much learning with not the downside of like your personal brand, your money, or your friends and family money, or whatever, when you literally don't know anything in your 20s. So I think recognizing that, and on the other side, my experience at Apple, I always tell people, I didn't plan it like this, I didn't know. But having an early stage experience like in a small company first out of college, and then moving to a large company after, and getting both sides of that coin, because I don't care what company you're in, whether it's Uber, Airbnb, etc., you will not execute as well as a huge company does. And so what I learned at Apple was a side of the coin that I would have never seen in any startup I'd ever worked for. And that both of those experiences for me really helped kind of level out who I am as a person, as a professional, and allowed me to have the confidence to build this company after. I think it's way too noisy, and there's too much pressure for people in their 20s to feel like they need to be an entrepreneur. And you don't have connections, you don't have access or experience yet, you're really fighting an uphill battle, versus recognizing you can learn so much more by joining those companies and using your 20s to kind of change the currencies you're chasing and make them experience or access, education, exposure versus cash.
Let's see, if you had a crystal ball and can see into the future, what new innovative ideas and products do you see coming to life?
Well, investing in where we invest in terms of connecting the world with sensors, extracting data and information from the physical world, we still think is very early days. And so what I mean by that is there's so many investors in software and AI and cryptocurrency and all this stuff, and great. These are all purely digital products, whereas we still see, I mean, you look in any physical space you're in, like, so the room you're sitting in, look around and count the amount of objects that are not connected. It'll make your connected objects, like your watches, your phones, your laptops, your iPads, look like zero.
Yeah.
Because there's almost none of the world is connected yet, but in our lifetime, maybe not all, but a huge percentage will be. Whether it be a direct sensor, whether it be via computer vision and a camera, or whether it be a microphone or some sort of other passive sensing technology, we will connect the whole planet.
Yeah.
And I think that in terms of the types of companies or products that you're going to see, I think obviously we have 6 accelerators now focusing on this, and a VC fund dedicated to this thesis. So we really believe in it, and I think we're seeing really amazing things. Like we have lots of drone investments, so using cameras in the sky to better optimize agricultural technologies around the world. We have underwater drones that are working. We have drones cleaning the solar panels to help increase green energy. Food technologies is another one we're investing in. We have our first food accelerator that we announced. So recognizing that the food supply, or one of our theses is around what we eat. So recognizing that our food supply is really fucked up. It's not sustainable, and it's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
So we're heavily invested. I think we'll have almost 40 food tech investments by the end of next year, and our ag tech is probably our second largest. We already have, I think, 15. So we'll have 50 plus investments focusing on that particular problem.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I mean, it is what it is. Like, you can solve any problem, and I think the one thing I try to tell people, especially because software is so dominant in terms of the narrative and the media, is that owning and creating unique data sets that other people do not have. Things like Apple and Google and Facebook don't have this information. You put a sensor in the world, you now have data that probably no government has, no corporation has, no big tech company. So you now have something new, something that someone else does not have. And then obviously creating value from that is how you build a business. But to me, that is going to be the biggest trend we'll see in the coming decades, is that more and more companies will recognize they have to have their own sensors. They'll have to create their own unique data, and not just be using swapping data from social media and APIs.
That's some great information. And speaking with other large companies working with one another, I know Puma just hooked you up with some gear. Got those cool dope shoes right there, guys. You guys got to check out these Puma shoes.
Actually,
they look legit.
I don't know when this is going up, but they're gonna reveal the sign up for getting your own pair of these in a matter of days.
Oh, in a matter of days, so it's coming out soon.
It depends on when you launch this, but if you check out the Puma Track software application in iOS or Android, you'll see a card quickly that's going to say sign up now, and we're going to be selecting people around the world for free to get the self-lacing shoes.
Oh, that's awesome, guys. So make sure you sign up for that.
Puma Track app,
Last question. What advice or recommendations would you give to anyone with an idea who wants to create a product, or just generally has an idea?
I'm going to reference one of my friends, Eric, the founder of Pebble. I think the way that he explained it was probably the best, which is don't try to build a business first. I think people try to create a company before they've really figured out the pain point and the product and solution. So having a why is really, really critical.
Yes.
And that means that it's okay if you're a tinkerer or an inventor or a maker and you just want to try to do something like in the world, make an app, like that's great, go for it. But don't set your whole dreams up and raise money and try to build a company until you recognize that what you're working on more than just you and your friends want, or the people in your immediate vicinity, that maybe more people want it, they're willing to pay for it, or give up something material for it. Then you can start worrying about building the business. I think a lot of people decide, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, I'm starting a company, before they actually realize, well, what's the pain point I'm solving? Why am I doing that? And obviously, if you take people's money, whether it be customers, whether it be fundraising from investors or your friends and family, that's a really important thing to figure out first. So the first thing I always ask founders is, what's your why? And for a lot of people, it's like, well, fintech is going so quickly. I'm like, cool, bullshit. Not going to cut it, right? And it's like, well, AI is going to change it. Like, nope, don't care. It's like, if you don't have a personal reason to work on this problem, it's going to be very challenging, if not impossible, for you to get through the inherent shitty days it is to be an entrepreneur. Because, check out anyone's videos, mine or otherwise, you see all these positive things, and you very rarely see the kind of negative side, which is the vast majority of the time is not fun. And without a really, kind of core why or purpose, or reason that you're going to go through the crap that it is to be a founder, I think you have a really tough time. But it's totally fine if you want to be an inventor.
Yes.
And you want to just get your hands dirty, make cool shit. That's also great. But like, don't put the pressure on your back of having to be a company right away.
Yeah. Bae, awesome, man. I appreciate you taking the time, baby. It was a pleasure.
Over.
Yeah, of course, man. I'm gonna do some more little shots here and get myself acquainted.
And feel free to check us out anywhere. We have 2 of the world's largest online communities for founders. So the IoT community, I think it's got 12,000 IoT companies. We have our food tech community that has 4,000 food tech companies. So if you're interested in things that we invest in, that's a great way. We have free office hours, AMAs with some of the most famous founders in the world, free tickets and discount. We try to like give away as much as we can.
Oh, awesome. So where are these facilities located?
If you just go to Brinc.io/community, it's all online.
So cool, dope, man.
Awesome.
Well, once again, man,
Thanks so
thank you.
much.
I appreciate it.
Appreciate
Yes,
it.
yes.